Amy. Good morning.
Good morning.
How's everybody's Monday so far? Put it in the chat. I can't believe it's week 10 either, Jules. It's crazy.
Yes, it is week 10. We have come a long way, and now we are in the home stretch, focusing on business planning and getting ready to lay the groundwork for an awesome 2021. Right, Kevin?
That is exactly right. Now we're in the meat of things to really hammer home what we've looked at over the last 9 weeks, putting it all together. So last week, what did we do? What did we talk about, Amy?
Yeah, in case you forgot, Kevin, we talked about marketing. This was a really great week, and thank you to so many of you who reached out to us and to coaching and training and really started focusing on taking a look at your marketing. We talked a bit about what your budget should look like based off of what your goals are as you head into 2021. We talked about setting up a great game plan for both passive and active marketing to make sure that you're getting out in front of your sphere of influence first and foremost in a way to remind them about what you do, but then also taking an active approach about getting in front of them. And we've just had so many great results of people, really starting to reach out to their sphere and seeing immediate reaction from people who already are talking about what they'd like to do with our agents next year as it pertains to real estate. So it was a great week.
Yeah, sure was. And so we sent out a survey. And so we had a lot of people fill it out as usual. And the question that we asked that we're going to talk about today was, looking back on the last 9 weeks, what are a couple of things? Number one, how are we feeling? How do we feel about progress? And then what are the habits or actions that we've set up and started to do consistently so that we can crush it in 2021? So that was the question we asked, and we wanted to highlight 4 people who had submitted some great answers. We had a ton of great answers, and I love this. One of the things that really quickly, before we go into the recognition part, one of the things that someone mentioned in the survey is that they love it because it's accountability weekly to look back on what they've done. And that person was talking about how they're going to continue it, whether we send surveys or not. It's something they're planning on doing every Sunday in terms of looking back on the actions and what they can do for the week moving forward. So, number 1.
I love it. So Nick Kalergis from the Arlington Heights office. Congratulations, Nick. He was talking a bit about feeling that he had gotten better direction as it pertains to a recipe for success when it comes to marketing. In the past, he's always been concerned about not having a big enough budget when it comes to marketing, so he would ultimately not do anything. But what I think he recognized after this past week is that you can figure out a budget that works for you, and you can certainly do something. So he's really excited because that's changing, and he's putting together a great marketing roadmap for 2021. So nice job, Nick, and thanks for letting us know.
Yeah, nice job. And then number 2, Patrick Kosnick, also known as Kos. He's out of the Goose Island office. And one of the things that he shared, number 1, is he's feeling great. But he's taken a few of the things in terms of habits and implemented them. And that includes things both at work and at home. And one of the things that we talked about a couple of weeks ago was making it easier by creating templates and scripts so that we could be more efficient, so that we were consistent in our messaging and consistent in what we were putting out there. And he's exactly right. One of the things he said is this comes in handy when meeting new people and developing business there versus, following up later with a hope and a dream. So thanks for sending this in, Patrick. Love it.
All right, and then we've got Phyllis Stellato from the Bucktown office, and I love that she's telling us that she's feeling great, but she was adding that she's adding some words or verbiage to her scripts. She's actually adding, I was thinking about you when she's making phone calls. And she's also talking about setting it and forgetting it when it comes to marketing. And I love that because there is a portion of this where you can set it up ahead of time. So it makes it easier for you for the remainder of the year to do the things that are more important, getting in front of your people, reaching out because you already know that you have a baseline set up for your marketing. So really excited. And she said she's going to crush it in 2021. And we love that, Phyllis. We're going to hold you to it.
Yes. And then number 4, David List. So Dave was a CFO in his past life. And so what he said resonated with him over the last 9 weeks was specifically the habit tracker. And it's something that we put in place in week 1 and week 2 when we started talking about daily routines and setting habits. And that habit tracker is available in the agent app, in the post. But one of the things that David said, and he sent it to us, is that he modified it a bit so that it was even easier to use and he could see where he put his habits in. And I'll tell you, when I say easier, he has 5 habits in there, 5 things, that's it. And that's what he's tracking. And, one of the great things he said is that measure it and they will come. If we're not measuring what we're doing, if we're not tracking what we're doing, we just have no idea. It's not good for, number one, remaining consistent, and number 2, propelling us forward by being able to look at what we've accomplished. So David, thanks for sending that in. Really appreciate it. And congrats to all 4. So tell them what they're getting,
just
Amy.
a reminder. That's right. A reminder of what you're going to get. It is a $50 Visa gift card, but remember, you need to spend it on you. And if you can, try to spend it somewhere local. Support a local business in your neighborhood or your community. So congratulations, all of you. Nice work and keep up the great work. All right, we want to talk about week 10, and this is your plan is your roadmap. So as we get into weeks 10 and 11, we're really going to be dialing into you focusing on your business plan, talking about what your goals are for this upcoming year, and really starting to put some really good thought into what that roadmap is going to look like.
That's right. And Amy pulled up some very motivational quotes. And so here we're going to go through them. If there's anything that I love and Amy loves is just repeating, we do it every morning. We just repeat motivational quotes to each other to start the day. So we're going to do it here with all of you. Number 1, and this is so true. These are true. I'm laughing, but these are really helpful. If you don't know where you are going, you'll end up someplace else. And that's exactly true. If you don't have a business plan, you're just going at the whim, or as my email said over with the survey, happenstance is happening. You're just going wherever people or the world takes you, as opposed to setting a plan to get there.
And this quote I love: spectacular achievement is always preceded by unspectacular preparation. And really what that means is preparing and outlining your business plan is not very exciting. Oftentimes, a lot of the work that you put into getting to your goals is not really exciting, but it's the stuff you've got to do so that at the end of the day, you achieve what you set out to do.
Yep. And then here, setting a goal is not the main thing. It is deciding how you will go about achieving it and staying with that plan. And I really love this one because it resonates what Ninja says. It resonates what Amy and I talk about, which is, it's really easy to say in 2021, I want to hit 10 million or 20 million, or it's super easy to say that. The part that is difficult and we don't focus on all the time is, what are you doing today to get there? What are the actions that we're doing today? And that goes right back to the habit tracker. It goes right back to the daily actions and the habits that we're setting and creating that are going to propel us towards that 10 or 20 or whatever our goal might be at the end of 2021. So I joke, but these are all, pick one that resonates with you and write it down, type it out, print it out, put it somewhere for the next few weeks so that while we're thinking about business planning, this is something that speaks to you.
Or if you're like me, you can get them framed or like on a little wood box. I have about 10 of them in my office, and Kevin makes fun of me, and so does my husband. At home, he tells me, Amy, if you get another platitude, I'm moving out. Okay, but I love them. I love inspirational quotes. They kind of get me moving. They always kind of inspire me to do bigger and better and greater things. So sorry if you don't like them, but I had to throw them in. All right, so let's take a look at the big picture. Before we dive into the specifics of your business plan, the transactional stuff, how many deals do I want to do in a year? We really need to examine the major areas of our life that we need to work on more, because it isn't just about the business piece. We really have to approach this holistically. When we started out with It's All About Love, we talked about the idea that in order to really feel like you're doing great things and loving yourself, loving others, and loving what you do, you've got to look at every aspect of your life. So before we dial into how many transactions I'm going to do every year, we're really going to start focusing on the major 8 things in your life.
Yeah, so these major 8, these are the things that encompass life. These are the major parts of our life that when they're in balance, when they're in synergy, really bring fulfillment. And we know how it feels sometimes when one part or aspect of our life isn't in balance, when it's out of place. And the problem with that is then it hinders us from reaching our full potential with all gears working together. So These are the 8 things we're going to talk about right now. We're going to go through these because part of what we are going to ask you to do is take the packet for week 8 and complete some worksheets. So here are the 8. We're going to go through them, starting with physical.
Yep. So physical. This is something obviously that I really feel important about as I'm on my Peloton, or I've been running actually quite a bit now. But, you know, where is your physical health at? And I don't mean, hey, are you out running 10 miles a day? It's just, how healthy are you? You know, are you exercising regularly? Are you just getting your body moving so that you are in, you know, a great space, both mentally and physically, to take on the challenges of life and work? Are you eating right? And are you finding time for yourself? That is so important. In this job, we give so much to everybody else. You need to make sure that you are finding that time for yourself. And my big question for you is, what do you want to change moving forward as you take a look at where you are physically right now?
Yeah, and if I could make a point about this, to Amy's point about you don't have to go out and run 10 miles, it could be something simple. And the thing with this is once you start a habit, it's easier to continue it. And just an example, because this is top of mind, I've been trying to eat really healthy for the last 4 months. And this weekend I blew it. It was almost like I was carb loading for a marathon, and I felt it the entire next day. So, you know, it's like, how do you feel? How are you taking care of your body? And I promised myself to never do that again, but probably in another month I will. So number 2, family. So how does your family play in it? What is the balance and role your family plays in your life? For this, you know, how much time are you spending with, you know, obviously your immediate family is an easy one, but also your parents, maybe if they're still here, your siblings, those that are out in the world. How much time and balance are you making enough time when you're creating balance in your life to spend with them? Because there's nothing worse than feeling regret. Regret that you didn't spend more time with someone that's close to you because we were busy doing other things. So this is really tough. And there's a comment in the chat that this is tricky right now, and that's true. And probably the last thing a lot of us want are more Zooms. But at the end of the day, connecting and calling and maybe Zooming or FaceTiming or whatever it might be, you know, think about this as we go into business planning. What do you want to change about this aspect, about the family aspect as we move forward?
And then we're talking about the spiritual aspect or spirituality, and spirituality is different for all of us, you know, but I think it's something that is really important to think about. It's what is your relationship to and with the universe? You know, there is something bigger out there that makes us all tick. We were talking the other day about, I think it was 2 weeks ago when we were talking about prospecting and consistency. And it's, you know, you think about somebody, and then before you even have a chance to call them, they're texting you or emailing you. The universe works in weird ways. And so, you know, you want to think about, where are you at in regards to spirituality? Do you believe in the law of attraction? What you put out there, you get in return. You know, what grounds you and helps focus you and keeps you positive? Thinking about these things. And are you doing all that you can to make sure you are moving forward with a sense of purpose? And if you're not, what do you want to change moving forward?
And then in the major 8, we have career. And so career, this is an obvious one when we're talking about business planning, but it's part of the 8 and it needs to be in balance as well. So as we think about our career, are you satisfied with where you will end up on December 31st, 2020? And with that, looking back, what did you do? What are you going to do to achieve more or to get to where you want to go in the next year by the end of 2021? And then are you happy where you are at when it comes to your career? So that's thinking beyond just the year of 2020. That's thinking, as Amy and I will talk about, that's thinking 5 years back, 5 years in advance, and really mapping some things out to determine if you are happy where you are right now. What do you want to change moving forward in terms of your career when we start to look back?
And this picture I absolutely love, because I sometimes get this face from my family members at home, but it's all about attitude. And I'm a big believer of attitude can set the tone for so much that we can accomplish in life. You know, do you take a glass half full or a glass half empty approach to life? And if it's half empty, do you want to shift that this year? And sometimes you do have to really work on this aspect. Look, not all of us wake up feeling, you know, that everything is rosy out there. A lot of times we really have to be conscious of the fact that we need to change or adjust our attitude or how we approach things. Do things happen to you, or do you make things happen? Again, a lot of this is in your attitude. And from Ninja, which I absolutely love, but are you a victim or are you a player? And right now, if there are things that you're not in love with about your attitude, what are you going to do to change it moving forward?
I love that. So whatever number we're on, it's financial. And so with financial, this is something we talked about at length a few weeks ago. And this is so important too, because I feel like, all of the major 8 are important. Clearly, family, career, all spirituality, all of these things are really important. But I think a lot of us, sometimes this is the one that hinders us the most. And so with this, taking a look at what your current financial situation looks like, what is that underlying anxiety that resides? You wake up with it, you go to sleep with it. Do you have that? So let's think about, when we start to put these things in balance and you start to complete those worksheets, what are the steps you can take to eliminate that anxiety? What are the small things? And we talked with Mark Jacobson, and we talked through all the little steps you might be able to take, some tips that Amy had shared about how we can get that anxiety out by just taking small steps. So when we fill out the worksheets and we talk about financial, what are the things we want to change moving forward? And not only short term, so that we're not worried about getting through the next 6 months, but what can we put in place long term so that through the rest of our career, through the rest of our lives, we feel security.
And then let's talk about relationships. I know we hit on family earlier, but relationships is bigger. It involves family or family members, but it is also friends, loved ones, that special loved one, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it may be. But, do you want to build stronger connections with the people in your life that matter most? Let's face it, I do this all the time. You can call my husband, but I oftentimes put him last, because all of this other stuff gets in the way, and I sort of know that he will be there, hopefully, right? But, when what I really should be doing is making sure that I'm putting him and my girls first. But, life gets in the way, work gets busy, we get stressed. So, sometimes taking a moment to take a step back and recognize what's important in my relationships and making sure that stress and work don't get in that way, and make sure that I'm prioritizing the people that I love. And if you're not there now, again, thinking through, how do I want to change this moving forward?
Yep. And here's number 8. This is knowledge. And so this year is a perfect time to talk about knowledge. And the reason being is that we just went through something that none of us have ever been through. We just went through an event, a global event, and are still in it, something that we've never experienced before. Do not let this slide by without remembering what we learned, what we put in place, how we pivoted, the things we did to be able to grow, because they are going to, again, propel us forward. If we don't take the opportunity of what we did in March and April and May and how we felt and the things we did, if we don't take advantage of learning from those and reflecting upon it, it's kind of a waste. So think about, what do you want to explore going into 2021? What are you going to take advantage of learning? And this could be any number of things. It could be personal development. It could be signing up for masterclass. It could be mastering the CRM here at App Properties. It could be learning the tools that are going to help differentiate you in selling more real estate. It could be reading more books. It could be, so all these things. What do you want to change moving forward when it comes to what you know? And sometimes we put this on the back burner, right? We just keep going and doing and doing and doing what we're doing without growing. Eventually, we are going to be passed by. And the one thing I want to point out here is this applies to technology as well. And this is a good time for me on my soapbox to be able to say, it is not okay to say I am not techie. It is not okay. It's about to be 2021. You cannot say I am not techie to a client or to someone else. And the reason being is technology is not new. We need to embrace it. We need to learn it. We need to be able to speak it. You don't have to be an expert coder. That's not what I'm saying, but take the time to learn the tools that are here, because if you're not planning, if you're planning on retiring in the next year or two, okay. But if you're planning on being in this business for 5 more years, 10 more years, time to embrace it before everyone passes us by. And that includes technology and the skills. If we haven't implemented new listing presentation, buyer presentation, any of the perfect programs that we've put out, if you haven't implemented those, people are blowing by us. People are upping their game and we're not. So knowledge. I'm off the soapbox. Knowledge, number 8.
On that note, what he's really saying, like him, is lean in to technology, embrace it. No, these are all great, but these are the major 8 things that you need to take a look at in your life. And, we really wanted to spend time on these for the first week of business planning because Kevin and I both really feel like you need to kind of take a good look at where you're at in each of these categories. Someone was saying, you might see somebody who is a weightlifter and he's in perfect physical condition, but he might be a wreck when it comes to his relationships or his career. So the thing is he might be really great in one aspect, but if you're balance and in many of the others, then where are you holistically? So we really want to dial in and take a look at these so that when you then dial into the specifics of your business plan, you can take all of these major 8s into consideration. So your plan is your roadmap to a successful 2021. But where do you begin? It's really simple. You've got to figure out the goals that you want to set for yourself first. Then you can write them and put pen to paper.
And so tomorrow, that's what we're going to talk about. These 8, the major 8, we're going to talk through these, and we're going to talk through how we are able to, how we're going to sit down and focus on them and focus on where we've come from in those 8 categories, where we are today, and where we want to go. And again, this goes back to the quotes that we shared at the beginning, which is, if you don't know where you are and you don't know where you want to go, how can you be sure that you're going to get there? And the other quote was, it's not about setting the goal. It is, you have to know where you're going, but it is also about the daily actions. So once we do know where we are, where we've been, and where we want to go, then we can create the plan that sets the daily actions.
So what we would love for you to do prior to watching us tomorrow morning on Coffee is please take a look at the packet that we've provided for this week. It is 2021 goal setting, the 8 major life areas of focus, but it breaks it down into 3 different sections. The first is taking a look at these 8 major life areas and where they were 5 years ago. Yes, we're asking you to dig deep and reflect back 5 years ago in 2015 to see where you were with these particular areas. Then we want you to take a look at present day. How are you feeling about these 8 areas now? And then what we really want you to focus on is let's look 5 years ahead. Let's set some goals for what we want to accomplish in each of these 8 major life areas, because once you write these down, the odds of you getting there, at least you've said it out loud, at least you've put it into your consciousness, and you're going to hopefully take steps towards getting there. So there's 3 different exercises: 5 years ago, present day, and 5 years ahead. We're going to talk about these in detail tomorrow so that you feel ready to go, but please take a look at the packet ahead of time.
Yeah, take a look at it. And one thing I want to reinforce is that, you're going to have to put some effort into doing this and thinking it through. So I encourage you, a lot of times we just blow through life and we just do what we do and we keep going without reflecting. And then we're frustrated when the same things keep happening, or when maybe we did well, but we didn't feel like we reached our full potential. And this packet this week really focuses on what we've talked about the whole time, which is love yourself, love others, and love what you do. This is holistic. No longer are we just crunching a spreadsheet that just tells us, how many deals we need to do to get to a certain volume. Now we're talking about how do we impact our life entirely to reach our full potential, not just in our career, but in all of the other aspects that we talked about.
All right, let's wrap it up. People have a lot of things to do this week, right? Download our worksheet and start looking at your major 8 areas of your life.
Yes.
Right?
That's right. So thank you. And remember,
love yourself,
love others,
and love what you do.
Have a great day. Make it a great day.
All right, guys, make it a great Monday, and we will see you tomorrow.